We get started this morning by introducing our team. I want to welcome Dr. Molly Lopez to begin by introducing herself.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Molly Lopez. I am the director at the Texas Institute for Excellence in Mental Health, which is in the School of Social Work at the University of Texas at Austin. And I am lucky enough to be surrounded by an amazing team. So I'm going to pass it on to Dr. Levens.
Good afternoon. I'm Tracy Levens. I work with this amazing team that I'm happy to be part of too. I do policy and planning for the Institute, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you're here. Holly?
Good morning, everyone. Afternoon. My name is Holly Gresslin. I also work with this team at the University of Texas, and I am an early childhood TA coordinator and a senior program coordinator for different grants around early childhood. I'll pass it back to Leah.
Thank you all. Once again, I want to echo my colleagues and say that they are a blast to work with, and we're really excited to work with you all. We're hoping that you are on this call because you're interested in learning more about Thrive and participating perhaps as a local community or early childhood coalition. We're delighted to have your time today, and what we're going to do, just so you have an idea of what to expect, is we're going to talk through the request for expressions of interest material, and then from there we're going to respond to questions that we have already received about the REI opportunity. And then it sounds like we're expecting to have a bit of time at the end. If you have any additional questions, we will be happy to try to answer those questions today, or get back to you if we're not able to answer them immediately. Before I get started, I just wanted to mention that while we are an initiative intended to promote the wellness of young children through the lens of their community systems, I wanted to give you a little context before the REI itself, and that is to tell you that as people who are working in this field, and I know each of you have been in this field for some time, you know, and you've probably seen as well, that there appears to be a trend happening where there's more and more conversation around how to effectively impact early childhood systems, and what it appears that funders and big decision makers, including policymakers, are watching is entities that can work together in a group sort of system. So we're going to use the term coalition today, but I want to be clear that we're talking about groups who are conceiving of early childhood coalitions as well. That term can mean many things. So please know that if you are in a community which does not have an existing early childhood coalition, but is perhaps interested in developing one, you are welcome as well, and we encourage your participation. So thank you for being here. To talk about the REI document, you all probably know, I hope, from the email communication, or you've seen it on the TIEMH website, that we have provided you with a Word document as a guide to help you perhaps fill out the information. But what we want is for the applications themselves to be submitted via the Qualtrics system. A link has been provided in all the documents, and again is also on the TIMH website. So if you haven't found it, please let us know. We could easily pop that into the chat box for you. The applications are going to be due on Thursday, May 20th by 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. And unfortunately, we're in the world that all the rest of you are in this virtual space, where we're going to have to be really strict about a timeline, because what we want to do is get turned around really quickly and get started working with communities who are selected in June. So we've got to adhere to that timeline, and incomplete applications, unfortunately, will not be reviewed. The proposal itself, we're hoping that you all will be thoughtful about what we have outlined as characteristics of successful applicants. We are really, really hopeful that the people and entities who apply have interest and excitement around taking action about early childhood programs and systems in their local communities or regions. We're also hopeful that groups will have some experience with collaboration and be ready to work as a team, even if that collaboration experience isn't early childhood specific. Additionally, we really, really prize the idea of groups valuing the experience of families with young children and actively engaging them, utilizing family voice, seeking family voice, and making family voice a part of the way that your early childhood coalition works. Additionally, we want communities to apply who have ideas about and/or are implementing systems or remedies for addressing inequities, are cognizant of those inequities and looking for solutions to those inequities. And then last but not least, we are hopeful that applicants would also commit to being able to work as a team with us here at UT, the Thrive team, as we try and support you in what your Early Childhood Coalition is interested in doing. We provided a brief overview, but I want to highlight a couple parts of that overview section for you to be aware of. And that is the fact that we intend to select 3 communities for the technical assistance provision. And of those 3 communities, we want to really intentionally tell you all today that our hope is that we get a wide variety of applicants who have a wide variety of capacities and a wide variety of interest around early childhood. And we do not have a predetermined plan for size of community that we would select, or type of community, or existing early childhood coalition or not. So what we're really interested in, again, is an eagerness to participate, a readiness to participate, and that there is some intentional focus for groups that are going to apply around engagement of family voice, taking a look at equity, and being interested in the implementation of developmental screenings. For a bit of background, Thrive, we are lucky to be an initiative funded by the Child and Adolescent Health Branch of the Texas Department of State Health Services. Our project began in November of 2020 and has the opportunity came about through efforts that were already underway, such as the Help Me Grow National Framework. And so as the leader for Thrive here at the Institute, we're excited to capture lessons learned from groups like Help Me Grow and others in the early childhood community, because we recognize that one model might not be the best fit for everybody. And so we want to be intentional about seeking a wide variety of types of communities and communities interested in early childhood from different perspectives. In order to apply, let me backtrack a bit and mention that those 3 communities that will be selected, what we want you all to know, something that's helpful for you, we hope, is that you will be receiving free support and technical assistance from us, the Thrive team. And that technical assistance is going to include working together around an early childhood focused needs assessment. It will also include the development or enhancement of your early childhood coalition council, depending if you have one already or not. And then furthermore, we're going to support the development of your local plans that are already happening, moving towards implementation if you aren't already implementing some strategic plans, but if you are, we want to support those plans. This will also be a part of a process where we're learning from each other. So the selected communities are going to have an opportunity to network and be in communication with one another. And finally, we are really excited that there will be opportunities for you all to provide input that could influence the statewide strategic plan, which Thrive is working on kind of simultaneously to this really important engagement of local communities. The deadline, I want to mention it one more time, is 5 p.m. on Thursday, May 20th, 2021. And a reminder that we would like you to use the Qualtrics system for those applications. The Word document has been made available as a tool. However, if anyone needs an alternate submission method, has any challenges using the Qualtrics system, please let us know as soon as possible. We certainly want to make the application process as accessible as we possibly can. And so we would be happy to talk to you about other methods if for any reason Qualtrics is not something that works for you. The last little couple of things I wanted to mention before we talk about the questions themselves are the definitions. You'll see those on if you're accessing the Word document, they're on page 3. And those definitions are early childhood and family voice. For this purpose of Thrive, we are looking at children from birth through 5 years of age to be a part of that early childhood definition. However, we recognize that different communities have different definitions of early childhood, and we recognize that. Last but not least, in the definition section is family voice. And I've mentioned family voice before, and I hope you hear me referencing that as an important part of a successful application. The family voice definition has been provided there for you as well for your reference. And then the final part of the REI is the questions themselves. We're asking you, of course, for some identifying information for whoever the primary point of contact will be. In addition to that, we want to get some information from you around the geographic area that you intend to serve through your early childhood coalition work. From there, we're interested in hearing more about your excitement and your interest, and how willing and ready you are to jump into the Early Childhood Coalition building or development phase. And that's the third question. From the fourth question, we're asking you about existing community collaborations that your community might have that could potentially be a structure or support for the Thrive early childhood work. Next, we're really interested in learning what, if any, relationships you have already in your community, and how those relationships, if they aren't currently focusing on early childhood, how perhaps they might grow to be focused on early childhood. It's kind of the structure for a coalition. Next, we're interested in learning. We really hope that communities will be engaged and involved in your early childhood coalition work. And so we'd love to know more about that stakeholder engagement piece. Specifically, we're interested in how you may have involved community members and or representatives in the construction of this application. We are also interested, the seventh question is, we're interested in learning what building blocks you have in place in your community already to help families access appropriate resources. The eighth question is regarding equitable access. So we want to know really specifically, how does your community make sure that all families have access to appropriate services and support and resources? The ninth question, we're asking you all specifically for what kinds of opportunities there are for families to provide feedback around their experiences, families with lived experience I'm referencing here, around early childhood service provision and use. The 10th question is, we want you guys to help us know from your community, what's going on in your community, what has happened, what historically might influence how the use of family voice is valued, obtained, and amplified. So is there any kind of route towards family voice inclusion, amplification, and valuing that you want us to be aware of? The 11th question is regarding key strengths and gaps that have already, again, you're aware of, that have been identified, which might impact your early childhood community. And then the final question, number 12, is we want you to tell us what you see the work of Thrive resulting in. What will your community be able to show after we have all worked together on this early childhood coalition development or expansion? And I am going to pass this back to my colleague, Holly, who is going to talk through some of the questions that we've already received, and will also be open to answering any additional questions you all might have at this time.
Thanks, Leah. And thanks, I see we have another person who joined us. Feel free to put your name and email into the chat box if you've joined us recently. So again, in the responses that we're going to provide you today to the questions that were previously submitted, remember that our term coalition we're using is an umbrella term for communities who have active groups already, communities who are planning to have groups, and communities who are talking with partners but might not have identified themselves yet as a full system. So please know that this is an umbrella term. You are all welcome to apply. One of the questions we received ahead of time was, what will this TA relationship look like? So for example, will there be coaching calls and opportunities to brainstorm things with the Thrive contract, or is it going to be more focused on a capacity to your own efforts, like providing a certain number of hours of research on their behalf, or helping folks pull together and implementing a needs assessment? So our response to that is that TA will be catered uniquely to what the different coalitions need. We hope and anticipate to receive a variety of applications spanning the readiness spectrum. So we want to cater to where the coalitions and groups are. So at this point, once we choose our groups and our communities, we'll then come up with an array or a menu of TA services that we feel like we could provide. We'll meet with the group and we'll talk about those opportunities. If they work for the group and we can come up with a plan together, that would be great. And if not, if the TA ideas we're offering don't meet the need, then that's where we get creative together and we come up with a brand new menu that meets that community's need uniquely. So to answer about the coaching calls specifically, if coaching calls are something that on the TA menu folks are needing and wanting, they could be provided. Some may want it one time, some may want it weekly. And we can look at building into whatever folks uniquely need. And then also, to be very clear, our TA is focused on building your early childhood coalitions through an equity lens. It's not about what the Thrive contract needs. Our goal and focus is your coalition that's being planned and how we can build the capacity of that coalition. Another question that was submitted is, does this opportunity involve any fiscal support? We're wondering because this might likely involve time commitment from our collaborative members. So there's no specific money coming to or attached to this REI. You'll not be asked to submit reports to us per se. If I'm your TA, that's something that really works for you all for being responsive, sure. But we are not necessarily an entity that will be monitoring in that capacity. But our TA and technical assistance and support will be free to you all. And we may have the ability to support specific items within your coalition, like the capacity for family voice to attend and be a part of your coalitions. So that would be the minor caveat. And then in terms of your collaborators and your partners, because we are asking to work with your coalition, a commitment from your partners is really what we're hoping for as you all apply and think about applying together. As this specific TA is focused on capacity and support building. And then we did have some questions submitted regarding our application process, specifically about Qualtrics. If you are having a system or major technical issue or computer error and something's happening, you can reach out to us. You can ask us things like, can you erase what we've put in? Something happened, do we want to reapply? Or can you make sure that it's there? We're not sure, something happened in the application process. Those questions we can answer. We can't discuss the actual content of your application with you until after the selection period. And also, we highly recommend that you use the same system and possibly the exact same computer to apply. You can go back, you can start your application and come back to it later, but use the same system and the same computer. If you try to use a different system or a different computer, it might not recognize you from before, meaning that some of the information that you'd saved in it might not pop up for you that you had done previously. So please try to use the same system, the same computer. And in the chat box, if there are any additional questions now that have popped up or fostered for our attendees, we can take those into the chat box. Some of them we won't be able to answer in this moment, but we do plan to collect that information for you and post the information on a website where we have the REI listed. So we're going to just wait a minute here and see if anything comes up in our chat box for us. Mia, I think we'll give folks maybe just one more minute to add items or questions if they have them. Okay, we are getting a few questions in the chat box. So one of the questions is regarding the timeline. So how long will the TA support last? So our grant is going to be for the next 2 years at this point. So a September to August timeline. I'm looking at my teammates just to correct me if I'm wrong. But so the communities will get selected this coming June, and we will begin the TA then, and then it'll be 2 years, 2 calendar years after that. So for the duration of the Thrive grant. And then there's a question for the website. Where is the link for the website? So if Leah or Tracy, if you could pull from our application that we sent out, the email, to find a link to our website. I know my tech team is working right now to get that up into the chat box for you. Feel free to submit any other questions. Again, we'll make sure to post these answers and the answers that we went over today on a document connected to our site. And we have just entered the link to the website where you can find our posting into the chat box. You can cut and paste that and pull it up now so you have a reference to where it is. Or you can use it later when you're looking back for the answers to our questions.
Okay, well, while we're giving people just another minute or so to submit any questions they might have, I'll go ahead and provide you guys with a couple of key reminders. The application deadline is Thursday, May 20th at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will notify selected communities on June 7th. That is not so far away, as you know, and as Holly mentioned, the technical assistance provision period will begin effectively in June of this year and go for 2 additional years beyond that. We also wanted to just take a moment to thank you for your time. We're really excited about this opportunity, and we have high hopes that some of the early childhood focused work that's already happening and that's beginning to happen in different parts of the state will feed into this exciting movement to engage communities and to get local childhood coalitions built and stronger, and that is our hope. So we thank you for your time and your energy. Please be sure to let us know if you have any questions beyond this. As Holly mentioned, we're able to help you with any technical submission type questions around accessing Qualtrics or changing applications that you might have in Qualtrics. And we wish everyone the very best. It looks like there are a couple more things have popped up. I don't know if they were questions, Holly, or are we good? No. Okay.
Nope, I think we're all set. So thank you everyone for your participation today.
Thanks all. Take care.